So I have a meeting with them tomorrow because we've been noticing being cut. Let's Live Stream's been cut on Periscope at between the 20 and 30-minute mark the last 2 weeks,
Uh-oh.
which you know is not good
Wait,
for
are you using
analytics.
you're using Switchboard?
Yeah.
I'll have to look and see if mine's getting cut off. I didn't know about that. Okay, we are technically live now. Let me check a few things. But you're hey, no. It's a title card. Don't worry about that.
Okay. I'm like, uh,
But the audio's coming through, folks. She's just doing her lipstick, so don't worry.
you're funny. You're funny.
Let me get it's Instagram Live that always takes a minute. I think Jonathan has a real thing for Instagram Live, doesn't he?
He has a real thing for Instagram, period. That's why I was like, don't ask me about Instagram because Jonathan's gonna harass me behind the scenes. Like, you're talking about Instagram? Get the hell out. I have no respect for you.
Classic. All right, bear with us just a minute, folks. I am setting up Instagram Live, and then we are going to start this broadcast. And actually, what we're waiting on is Facebook to just take hold here.
I assume you're going to Todd.LIVE, right?
Yes, the Facebook page. Yes. There it is.
So I can at least share it out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to get rid of the title card, and we're gonna be off and running, folks. Let's see here. I got to clear a layer. I got to get used to this new setup. Good evening, folks. Todd Bergen, Todd.LIVE. Thank you for joining. I am doing my first official broadcast right now of LiveVideoLive, hashtag LiveVideoLive. I actually started, this is a name of a show that I started back when I first got into live streaming. And I didn't know anybody in the online space. I didn't have anybody watching me. And I had a couple of iPads and a broken down laptop. And this is a name I came up with to talk about live video on a regular basis. And I just never really got momentum. It was more myself than other people. But I always liked the name. And the let me close that out. Okay, I got a few little kinks to iron out here. So I always liked the name, and I always thought about a variety show where it's an evening show, prime time, and I talk to live video stars and people getting started out, people that are doing live video basically, and people who are trying to create good content, provide value to the people out there, build an audience, build friendships, relationships, all that. And that's what I'm doing now. Tonight is the first episode of the official formal LiveVideoLive. And I have a friend of mine who is joining us tonight. Let me make sure that my picture is going to be right here because I'm not used to doing it this way. Let's see here. Here we go. I got to bring you up. And there we go. Jenn Nelson, you are on the screen now. How are you tonight? I can't hear you all of a sudden. Uh-oh. I hope that's not on my end. I can hear me, but I can't hear you. Yep, I've lost your audio. We had it a minute ago. Double check and make sure. Hey, Wagner has joined us on Instagram just to say hello while we figure out a sound snafu. Wagner, can you hear me, my friend? Anybody on Facebook, please let me know if you cannot hear us, or if you can hear me and not Jenn. Yep, we've lost the audio. Yeah, we've lost audio. Let me, Jenn, I'm gonna hang up on you really quick and call right back, and let's see if we can make this audio happen. Yeah, all right, here we go.
How about
I
now?
hear you now.
Yay!
I don't know what happened.
Jenny said she couldn't hear me, that she could only hear you. And so did Marianne. Now everybody can see your desktop, by the way.
Which desktop?
Oh, I'm a little delayed on Facebook.
Oh yeah. Because I had to close out and redo Skype. So I think we're good now as far as picture. I don't know about the audio. You're kind of low in my headset right now, so I don't know if that's on my end or your end.
Well, I got a gain button for that. How about now?
It's getting a little better.
Is it getting a little better? How about now? How about now?
You're getting better. You're getting a lot better there. Tell Jen she needs to email me whatever that means. Stat. She's lower than you. Wagner's saying that your audio is much lower than mine.
My gain is way up.
I could turn you up on my. I could turn you. I could turn you up on my end, but I think it would cause problems, and I'm also afraid to touch my mixer. I don't even want to go near my mixer. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you too. It's weird. I'm gonna have to look into this.
I'll just go really, really close to the mic. Can everybody hear me now?
Well, you know what? You're talking very low. So if you talk louder, I think you'll be, because when you got close to the mic, I like the pink mic. I like the pop filter or whatever it is.
It is.
It matches your ends.
Thank you very much. I will try to speak up as much as possible.
Folks,
11 o'clock at night here.
Jenn Nelson is somewhat of a live video star. She is hitting it hard in all sorts of ways. First off, she's been doing a long-running show called Wine Antics. You can find that on Facebook. You simply go to the search bar and look up Wine Antics. They talk about wine and drink it and enjoy it and all things wine, and I think other things as well. Whatever comes to mind when you're drinking wine. It's kind of a social chat. And then she's got a new show, which I haven't had a chance to check out yet. I think it's a very new show called, I think it's Ladies Do Live. Is that it?
Ladies Go Live.
Ladies Go Live. Ladies Do Live sounds like that's not right, is it?
Yeah. Sounds like one of those websites that you don't want to go to unless you're trolling for a very specific niche.
Exactly. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Ladies Go Live?
Sure, I'd love to, and I appreciate the opportunity to do so. So Ladies Go Live is a virtual summit that's coming up on August 25th. All online from the comfort of your home. Come in and hear from amazing women that are in the business world. They're in the philanthropy world. They're in the inspiration, the education, and philanthropy. I always get this inspiration, education, business, and creativity spaces. These are women all across the world that are using live stream in different capacities and are really passionate coming together to share their tips and experience, which I think is the best teacher across the board. Experience has taught me so much over the last year and a half now of live streaming very regularly.
Yeah, you've been doing it for a long time. Who are you have two co-hosts with you on that show, correct?
There are four of us.
Four.
Ladies Go Live, and those are the founders behind it. It's Zeph Sand, it's Tina K. Valant, and Lottie Hearn Ross. So we have an international group of women that are working on it, and I think it's given us such an amazing perspective because we all approach live streaming very, very differently. And if I walk away with nothing else from this summit, I have learned so much just from the perspective and the way those four women work now. You're bringing women in from every continent except Antarctica. Still working on that. It's a hard sell.
Right.
But all these women have different strategies. They have different approaches. They have different business mindsets. They're dealing with different governments, different conformities. And it's been a really exciting journey thus far.
So how many episodes have you done, and what do you discuss in Ladies Go Live?
So we do two standard shows a week. And the Monday show kind of goes through the behind the scenes, what we've learned over the last 2 years. I would say most of us have solidly been live streaming for the last 2 years. And just kind of go through the ins and outs, the startup, what you think about when going live, creating a plan, your promotional schedule, your post-production schedule,
all the things that we've learned, and we feel like that's a big value add. If nothing else, people coming onto the page, they're getting something every Monday at 1 p.m., what we've learned our experience wise, and we answer questions as well. In complement, I host a show every Friday called Man Up Friday, and Wagner, who was here, was on the show. Thank you very much for being my first victim. I mean, guinea pig. I mean, amazing man that came on our show, and it's been a really nice rounding out because there's a lot of women's organization, there's a lot of minority organizations that will take a look from a very specific perspective. It's great to fill the need of that specific perspective, but you can't ignore what other people are doing, because if you ignore anything that anybody is doing, you're missing an opportunity to learn for yourself.
Absolutely. So, how did Wagner do as the guinea pig / trial run?
He did very well, and I appreciate it. He's actually going to have me on his show this week. That's what he's hitting me up about. I owe him some information, and I will get that to you, Wagner. I do really appreciate that he came into the Monday show, and I'm like, so we're just starting this stuff off, and you're here. So guess what? Poof, you're my first victim. Come on, Man Up Friday, because you come in and you engage and you ask questions, and we appreciate the support of the men in our lives. So, willing victim, amazing guest, appreciated his input because he's got a very different story to tell as well, just like you do, coming at this broadcast, coming at this social media space, coming from your entrepreneurial journey. Everybody's got their own story to tell.
Absolutely. I had Wagner on the Divorce the Workforce podcast when I was running that podcast, as you were a guest as well. And I think he was on in December of 2016. And, I knew a little bit about him going in. I tend to research people, so I know something. And I feel like I can help steer the conversation in interesting ways and give a proper introduction and that sort of a thing. I do prefer to let my guests do the most talking, but his story is so interesting, and it started when he was really young, and he was doing just high power, high level type stuff right out of the gate. I mean, I was mowing lawns for like 6 years. That was my entrepreneurial start when I was like 13 years old and someone stole my bike. His entrepreneurial journey was just in New York City, and just really an interesting path that he's taken in his life. He's just a fascinating person, and I think we're both fortunate to have him as a friend. Ooh, I've lost your audio. You might double check your connections.
No,
there you are.
I muted myself.
Oh, there you go.
I try not to have all the desktop sounds, because I try to look at the comments and read the comments. So I try not to have the sounds, but then of course I forget it's muted. Yeah, and I think my first entrepreneurial journey was not too far away from yours, except that mine was a lemonade stand.
There you go.
Very, very sweet. And you know what I did? I remember when I was a kid, I went door to door and sold like faux stained glassware. Like they were like little kits that you made and you painted it, and it looked like little sun catchers, and it looked like stained glass. I remember going door to door selling that.
You know what? When you get started, it doesn't matter what you do when you get started young. You just get started. I noticed that my daughter has joined us. I don't know if she's still with us, but she joined us on Instagram Live, and she's 13, and she's doing her entrepreneurial journey, and hers is much different than both of ours were. Of course, she's got the internet, but she's got two different little hustles going. Hustles almost sounds kind of tricky, but it's, she's getting started. She's got two things that she sells on Instagram, and she's sold a few, not a whole lot, but she's learning the internet. She's learning how to do videos. She's learning how to post social media images and hashtags and how to do the description. And the world's such a different place for the kids today than what we had, but it doesn't really matter what you do. I mean, I pumped gas. at an Exxon station for 2 years when I was in high school. A friend of mine's dad owned a gas station, and he hired us and paid us very well, but it was still, it's pumping gas. Not that there's anything wrong with it, right? But we all had our journeys, and I think I learned a lot doing that, quite honestly.
I did too. I mean, I bust tables when I was 14 years old under the table just to start making money, and I don't envy children today. I honestly don't. It's a very different world. And anything that's probably written in books right now about marketing and entrepreneurship and business is being turned on its head. So it's not like there's a giant user case right now. I mean, what, 10 years ago, we could have gone to books that were probably 30 years old and looked at a lot of things and been able to at least have a starting point when you're talking about print advertisement and maybe even broadcast advertisement. Now all that stuff is out the window. Now is everything is a story and a soft sell, right? It's, know, like, and trust. Get to know your customer, make sure that they like you, make sure that they trust you before you can even consider to talk to them about a sale or a product. So I completely commend her. And she's a great example of who we would like to bring into Ladies Go Live. It's a very children friendly, women friendly, man friendly, because there isn't an age boundary anymore with live streaming. There are a ton of examples out there from different platforms specifically for that pre-teen
Lively.
demographic. And it's a scary world if you're not knowledgeable.
Well, I would have Madison. She would be, she would probably love to be a guest on your show and chit chat about what she does. But you're right; it's a different thing. She's not on Lively; she's just on Instagram. I don't think she's anywhere else. So tell me, how do you maintain the pace that you maintain with all the video that you do?
You mean how do I stay sane?
Well, I know that the wine has a lot. It's medicinal as much as it is enjoyment and entertainment.
I think the integration of everything is the most important. I try to bring everything that I do into two categories, and that's either wine, and that's my community that I've built there and have been working with other content creators there, or live streaming. When I started out, when I left my full-time employment about 4 years ago, there were four things I knew I wanted to do in life. I wanted to do tech. I wanted to do wine. I wanted to do and handle women's issues and veterans issues. Now, so far, I've hit three of the four things that I've wanted, and the veterans issues will come up later. So I think that I went into it knowing what I wanted to do, and I spend as much time as I can integrating all of the components so that it's, as we always talk about, repurposing or being able to do something and let it speak for my other work.
Interesting. Now, but how do you really maintain the pace? I mean,
I have no life.
You and I both. I spend my whole day by myself in a room that's full of lights and cameras. you know.
I have no life.
But you know what? I guess it could be worse, right? You could be going off to a day job and having somebody at the end of the hall tell you when you get to take your lunch or when you get to take a vacation. I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk. I mean, doesn't it always go back to Gary Vaynerchuk? I mean, I wish it was somebody else maybe. I like Gary, but I think he was talking this week about how lonely it is to be an entrepreneur. And I've known that for years. And I don't know that I ever get used to it, but, I think that it's much better than anything else. How do you do it?
Hey, I don't, and it's honestly a real struggle, and I wasn't prepared for that question, but I will answer it. And will you play with the audio mixer on Wirecast while I do? Because people are still saying I'm really low and my gain is way up. So give it a try.
Yeah, let me see what I can do.
Play with the audio mixer. Loneliness. Oy, oy. I think that was probably one of the biggest struggles that I faced and started to consider as I spent about a year into this game and realized how much of a journey this is by yourself. Now, I have some great family. I have a tight-knit group of women that support me in my family, and I try to lean on them as best as possible. I spend many nights, and I'm not ashamed to admit that the loneliness and the insecurity and the lack of any kind of guidance will get to me at night. And then having people that, are coming at you from different angles, whether they're helping you out or whether they're hurting you along the journey, all of these things feed into that loneliness and feeling that you're on this island. But I think was one of the live streams I did probably about 2 months ago that I came out and I just tried to talk about one of the issues of loneliness, of being on this journey and feeling isolated along the way. And it touched somebody else that wasn't in the same shoes as I was, but was experiencing her own form of loneliness. And that completely changed my outlook. And sometimes there is solace in doing these live streams that it becomes a place where your water cooler, right? Hey Ross, hi, thanks for coming by. How does my audio sound? Does it sound pretty good? Can you hear me pretty well?
I,
Todd is
I've messed with every dial.
okay.
I've messed with every gain dial on my mixer. I've
Let me
never
know, Ross,
encountered
how it is.
I've never encountered this issue before ever.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's Skype or if it's on your end, or hell, I don't know if it's on my end. I'm interviewing Mike Murphy tomorrow, so we'll see how he sounds.
Okay.
If
well, I just know that Mary was having a little bit of
oh yeah,
yeah.
you're definitely low. You're definitely low.
Huh. Well,
You know, that's the thing about the live video is you got to roll with it. I will tell you this though. The sound misery for those who are sticking with us won't last forever, because my intent on Live Video Live is just to be like a half-hour show, just to chit chat. You know, I guess I really didn't talk about that much, and I'll just throw that in here really quick for those who are with us. And there's 4 here and a few over there, but Live Video Live's just kind of a chit chat. It's like a blab. It's like a half-hour live video blab with live video people that I invite on or who request to come on, and they make sense as a guest to chit chat about life, about entrepreneurship, about whatever's on your mind, but it's live video people. And
how about now? Am I louder?
you are louder now. You sound a little better, but you're still low.
Well, I will repeat what I just did, and it will get better.
Yeah, you're getting a little better, but we're not there yet.
And how do you plan to go forward with this in terms of guests, in terms of content?
Live Video Live?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess look, if I do 4 shows a week, which is my intent, Monday through Thursday, at 8 o'clock, I just want to do something prime time and see if it is something that, captures the attention of people out there, if it's something that people enjoy, that people want to come on and participate on, but or participate with me on. But I'm going to kind of wing it. I mean, look, Create and Engage podcast is a little more formal. I'm going to invite people on, and it's going to be a podcast and a live video, and we're really going to get to the heart of who the guest is and their story and that sort of a thing. It'll be more traditional. The other show that I started even just today from scratch, that's going to be a weekly theme-based piece of content. And, I may have guests come and go, but it's mostly going to be me, research topics and talk about it, right? Today I did Facebook or Instagram, and all this week is going to be Instagram on From Scratch. Next week will be YouTube. The next week I think is going to be email marketing. And just kind of take on, not get too deep, but, put more than a toe in the water.
Yeah.
And try to come up with some really good content for the people and something that's kind of a series. And then this is just more, fun, fluff, blabbish. Just come on and it's at nighttime. You went out and had a wine or two. I had a beer or two with dinner, and, nothing too formal. If the sound isn't working, then neither one of us are panicking that we're wasting a ton of time. And this isn't the big show. This is just having fun.
I think some great content going forward with the shows. I personally know 3 people that have panels suggested for South by Southwest. One of them is currently in the room with Ross Brand, and
absolutely
Jenny was in here earlier as well. They are, they've got their panel and live streaming coming up. It's also the year anniversary since Blab went away this month. That's a great thing to casually bring live streamers on about. There's a lot of fun that you could go with a scenario like this, and then maybe really talking about the struggles that are behind the scenes. Like Ryan Perez right now as well is in the 30-day launch for the Hustle Zone, and doing, like, I'm more than willing to come on anybody's show and chat, because two people talking is always better than one talking head, honestly, because there's a
Absolutely.
different dynamic, there's a different face, and we're sharing who we talk to in our circles. So it just does everything for anybody. So I talked to Ryan today, and I'm like, when can I help you? You're doing this 31 days live to launch the Hustle Zone. And he's like, I'm so in the weeds right now. I'm so overwhelmed, and I completely understand it. We're 17 days out from Ladies Go Live, and trust me, most of my nose is to the grindstone of trying to get out, talk about it, get the logistics held behind the scenes, and I completely sympathize with him. And I'm like, Ryan, maybe we should just talk about that. Talk about the overwhelmingness that there is behind a launch of something, and talk about, how do you handle loneliness? How do you handle your entrepreneurial journey? Do you have any tips? And look at me, I'm just taking over your show. Do
No,
you
no, no.
mind?
Look,
Okay.
you're my guest, and I want to hear what you have to say. If I talk, they're going to hear the same thing every night. So,
These are one of the behind the scenes. Like, I'm working on Photoshop right now, and there are so many things that I do behind the scenes for my show and for other people's shows. And I know you know it, Todd. You spend more hours that you do. You spend more hours behind the scenes checking hardware, making sure everything is flowing, doing everything you can than you do with this, what, one half an hour that you come on and actually chat. This is the fun part, right here. But
you
I
know,
never talk about the journey enough.
well, you're probably right that the journey isn't discussed enough, and people just see you go on. I get a real kick though. I entertain myself with the prep. I don't like the post production as much as the prep, the pre production. I like building my lower thirds. I've gone through several renditions of lower thirds. I think I'm going to stick with this one for a while. I think it works pretty well. It's pretty dynamic, and it gets the point across. But I have fun with it. I do. I don't broadcast enough, and I spent 31 days really gave me a kick in the butt. And I can thank you for that, because I think it was you that encouraged me to do it. It was like day one, and there was only like 2 or 3 people even doing it when I happened to come along, and you said, well, you ought to do it. And I said, well, I'm traveling and whatever. So I ended up doing it. I missed 4 or 5 days, which is no big deal, but that really kicked me in the butt. And it kind of made me realize that I've done all this hard work putting this all together, and I let life get in the way, and I don't stick to a schedule. I don't get consistent. I don't really fight the things that pop up that lead to inconsistency. And that's why all of a sudden I'm doing from scratch I trademarked that name for this space a long time ago, like last year or something. So I can make digital products with the from scratch name in it. And I was shocked that it was even available.
Me too.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? So whatever I tackle, YouTube from scratch, Instagram from scratch, whatever, it's all from scratch. And it's kind of like for dummies. You can have a whole line of stuff that's from scratch. And that was the whole idea. And I just kept putting off getting started on it and putting off. And same thing with the Live Video Live. That was actually the first show I ever thought of, was hashtag Live Video Live. And I always liked the name. I always thought it would be just a variety show and chit chat and nothing very heavy and just blabbish and that sort of thing. And then, of course, the Create and Engage kind of took over the Divorce the Workforce. But I just never I wasn't pushing myself. 31 Days Live got me. It was like, dude, I thought to myself, you're failing at doing anything with all this you've worked hard for. You've got to get some shows nailed down, put a line in the sand. This is when they're going to be. And yeah, people will forgive you if you have to miss one from time to time, but make it, that's what it is, and just do it. And so here we are. And you're my first guest on this show, and I can't think of anybody better because I kind of feel like you indirectly kicked me in my butt. You didn't realize you did that, but that's what you did.
Hey, I'm happy to kick anybody in the butt anytime they want. I mean, honestly, when I looked at that 31 Days Live, I did this last year. I did a very similar exercise. I did a scope a day in May, and that's when I was big on Periscope and when I was really pushing Periscope. And I can't even tell you how much I learned from that one experience. So I went into this 31 Days Live knowing exactly what I was getting myself into. And then I also knew that there's a lot to learn from it. And challenges are very very good in forcing you to have this very short amount of time, and even if it's 31 days, but having this very short amount of time to go through your own process to figure out what you're going to live stream about. And I haven't completed every day. I think I'm actually still on like day 26 or something like that, but I'll continue it into August. The point of it is to just continue to do something, to always push your creative boundaries and get out there more. Before 31 Days Live, I really hadn't been live streaming all of that much. I had Wine Antics and Let's Live Stream, and then Ladies Go Live, which I'm not normally on camera for Let's Live Stream. I'm just behind the scenes. And then Ladies Go Live, I had the Monday and Friday, which doesn't seem like a lot. I know it seems like a lot to other people, but because they're 3 different projects, they didn't seem so bad. Right? I don't know why. 3 different groups, and there were other people helping me. Teamwork, though it's not the easiest to do, makes all the difference in me being able to do as many different things as I can. And I cannot stress, how much teamwork combats the loneliness factor as an entrepreneur, but also allows you to focus in on what you're good at. If it's a good team, you don't have to do absolutely everything. Things have to get done, but you don't have to do absolutely everything. So
yeah, how's the Let's Live Stream going? I've been traveling a lot during the month of July, so I haven't seen anything about it in at least a month. So that's Wednesdays, isn't it, at noon or 1?
Wednesdays, yeah, for noon for you, 3 p.m. For everybody on the East Coast, and it's going really well. We're actually building out August and September. We have August lockdown. September's dates are starting to fill up. We're reaching out to people way beyond the live stream community, and I'm very glad that Rachel has trusted, so Rachel Moore, who started Let's Live Stream, has trusted Jonathan and I to take it to the next level and allowing us to integrate it into what we're doing with VitMug Productions. So it's all really starting to come into place. We have Chris Strub coming up on August 16th.
Nice.
I'm locking in Stephen Haywood for either late August or late September. We've got about 80% confirmation for Restream.io to come on. We're bringing Switcher Studio on. We're really trying to play into the people that are the live streaming, the technology behind it, and then a lot of fun shows throughout that, because we've learned over time exactly what people are starting to engage with. It is a Twitter chat, so engagement is super important.
Absolutely. Well, you've got Stephen Haywood and Chris Strub. I've had them both on my shows, and they're both fabulous. I mean, just absolutely fabulous. I know you've probably had a lot of interaction with Chris. I haven't seen Stephen come across on any of your stuff yet. Maybe you have already, but they're both just fabulous. Stephen's doing he's doing a lot of outdoor stuff now.
And that's exactly what we want. We'll talk about him being that, that guy behind Wirecast, but he's doing some very interesting things with Outward Bounds, I think it is, or Outward Boundaries. And it's not only him, but it's his kids as well, and his daughter, which I always love to see. Not that I'm a huge fan of hunting, not because of the ethical mistreatment of animals. I believe hunters that are responsible are very ethically, or I believe they ethically try to treat the animals. But that they're, he's teaching his daughter different skills and valuable skills and things that will make her a stronger, more independent woman as she grows up.
Well, when you're in the hunting and community, fishing community, guns, whatever, weapons, things like that, you learn respect for other things, other living things. Even if you're killing them, you learn to respect them and to treat them in a humane fashion and to kill them for a reason, whether you're eating or you're using them for some sort of a purpose that makes sense. You're learning respect for other people because there are safety issues with other people. So you think consciously about, your actions might actually injure somebody else. And you learn survival skills and just skills. It's a great thing. So that's great that he's got his kids doing it. I'm in Southern California where we're 2 hours away from anything close to wilderness. So we don't get a lot of that, unfortunately. But so you've got a lot on your plate. Is it going, and to kind of close it down, tell me, is it going to keep getting busier for you, or are you kind of at a place where you're good, or, what's in store for you for the rest of the year?
So I have when I planned out 2017 last year, I planned it out in conferences and things for me from the wine perspective. I didn't really realize where I would be in the live streaming world because I'm Janice in terms of where I fit in. I have the wine side and I have the live streaming side. So I'm speaking on a live stream panel at the Wine Bloggers Conference
Nice.
coming up in November, which was a big get for me. Like I went to the Bloggers Conference last year as an attendee, did a bunch of live streaming things, showed people what live streaming was, and I continue to do that in that industry. And now I'm on a panel, so I'm very proud of that accomplishment in terms of live streaming, because where Jonathan and I see things going, we don't want the momentum to slow down. We're very proud of what we're doing. We've built out a lot of examples of what we're doing. We did Social Media Day Denver behind the scenes. We did Summit Live production-wise behind the scenes. We just worked with Music Economy, which is a new form of Bitcoin in the music world.
Interesting.
So we're building a lot of examples and clientele and hoping to transition that into a great 2018.
Well, that sounds fantastic. Jonathan, he's a great guy. We haven't really mentioned him a lot during this broadcast, but I can't imagine having a better partner than Jonathan Tripp. I mean, and vice versa. I mean, he's got a good partner in you, but I mean, what a great guy he is. He's also been a guest on my show.
Yeah, and you don't really advertise it, but you've collected quite the dancing card of guests on your shows along the way. You don't always say it, you don't always advertise it, very broadly and boastfully, but yeah, you've had a great amount of guests, and I really have appreciated the dynamic between Jonathan and myself, and I've learned that and appreciated that as I've worked with other people, not only on the wine side but on the live streaming side. I'm very, very happy.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I'm also paid to say this.
Well,
Jonathan pays me in coffee.
Right. Well, I mean, that's his big thing. I'm surprised he shares it with you, from what I understand about Jonathan. I figure he would snatch it all up and keep it to himself, because I know he's a coffee nut. And you also are partnered with Rachel in a lot of ways. So I mean, she's just fabulous as well. So I mean, yeah, entrepreneurism might be lonely, but you have a lot to be thankful for. I know you know that already. I don't want to make it sound like I'm preaching or anything like that, but you are surrounded by awesome people everywhere you turn, and I know you're having fun in a lot of ways. So, I'm sure it balances out at the end of the day.
Yeah, we are the collective capacity of the 5 closest people we have around us, and I'm very happy to be in the position that I am, and always excited to work with great people like yourself and Ross Brand, who is still watching us out here. And
yeah, he's fabulous. Love Ross.
And I hope to look into the fall with Mario Armstrong again. I would love to go back out there and help him with anything he needs. I have some wine experience, and he has a wine component, so I hope that I'll be able to help him out along in the fall.
Boom. Yeah, sounds like a plan, right?
Put the good word out there. Hopefully something will come true.
Well, Jen, I'll tell you what, you and I chit chat a lot on the internet, but it's great that we've gotten a chance tonight to get past private messages and do another show and chit chat for a little bit. I greatly appreciate you taking the time. I mean, I know we started at 11 o'clock your time, so I think you said you were up, but it's still late, and I do appreciate the time that you've taken tonight to be on episode 1 of Live Video Live. And hopefully for me, this is the start of something that continues and can be fun for people, and myself included. And I'm just honored to have you as a friend and to have you as a guest on tonight's show.
Thank you very much. The honor is honestly all mine, because this is the first time that Ross Brand isn't the first guest of a new live stream show.
Yeah. Ross is everywhere, isn't he?
He does. He has like that coveted position where he tends to be like the first guest of a lot of shows. He was the first guest on, I believe, on Let's Livestream, and it's because he's just such a great guy, and he's out there, and he really believes in the community. So
I think he would.
Up on you, Ross.
My Create and Engage, which kind of got stalled out over this summer, and I'm getting back to tomorrow with Mike Murphy of Mike Unplugged. But Ross was the first guest on my show, and you're right. I mean, he's there, but you know, I don't know who started it, but he's the mayor of live streaming, and I think it kind of works. I just have to find out how to be the Duke or something, and you know, find my little spot. But he's the mayor, so that's fabulous.
You just gotta find something like wine or coffee, or you know, you could. I know you like cigars, and you like craft beer. Like you could try to work that in. Like I'm the first guy with a craft beer in hand for any show. Just saying.
For every show, I thought about that. I've got some tricks in the background going in my, you know, and if you pay attention to my shows, if you watch them often enough, you might see things changing around in the background. That's kind of a hint that I've thrown out, but I've got this nice shelf system behind me, so it allows me to be playful.
Jealous, actually.
You know what? I just moved my studio. I just moved it. It took me 5 hours to move it. I had moved it out of this room about a year ago to the other room, to a master bedroom in this condo to have more space. And that room ended up being it's the hottest room of the house because it gets hit by the sun all day. Even though I have the AC on, it's just miserable. And I didn't have a good backdrop. It was just a plain wall. And I spent the last 4 months trying to decide how I'm going to have a good backdrop. And I thought, you know what? I'm moving my studio back in that loft where I have these built-ins, and it solves it. And it's natural. It's real. It's not a fake. It's not a picture. It's not a sheet of bricks hanging on my wall. It's real. So I like that. So anyway, well, listen, thanks again so much for being on the show. And I'll be in touch. Like I said, this is going to be a variety show. So, you know, repeat guests is going to be something that is totally cool with me. I'm not on this mission to have 56 different people, or hell, if I'm doing 4 shows a week, we're talking about 200 and some shows. There's no way I'm going to have a new guest every time I go live. So sometimes it'll be me by myself, and those might be 5-minute shows. And a lot of the times it'll be recurring guests. And I hope that's the case. And I'd like to have you back.
Thank you. I'm always here. Seriously. Anytime you want to chat, you're easy to chat with. I don't have to do the production, so that's always amazing.
Hey, bonus points, right?
This is just me showing up and having a conversation with you, and it's super easy and always a pleasure.
Well, listen, Jen, thanks so much. Listen, have a great night, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Ross Brand, Tyler Bergen, Madison Bergen, all the people that Nick Rishwain, Owen Video showed up. I don't know how long everyone showed up, but I had a lot of people show up on Instagram. Wagner showed up. Wow, we had a lot of good people show up. So thank you so much. Feel free to join me tomorrow. I don't know who the guest is going to be, or if I'm even going to have one tomorrow. But I'm sure that since I said that just now, I'm probably going to get a few tips from my friends who have watched this on who might want to show up tomorrow. But tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, Live Video Live. From Scratch will be tomorrow at 10:30. And I have a Mike, I'm going live 3 times tomorrow. Mike Murphy of Mike Unplugged. He is, in my opinion, from who I know on Instagram, he's the best Instagrammer that I know right now. He's fabulous. His content, it's just words can't explain how great his content is. He's teaching people every day awesome, great things, skills with Photoshop, Adobe Suite, whatever. So I can't wait to have him on. Again, Jen, thanks again. And folks, I will talk to you soon. Take care.